Hello, my name is William Kumwembe, and this is Business Time. It is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country, courtesy of Old Mutual.
Insuring and saving with Old Mutual means growing crops, growing jobs, growing a future. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.
Coming up in the program today, we look at Malawi's prospects for an ECF program of the International Monitory Fund as a mission team arrives in the country next month for a review of the program. And also in the program, Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament has underscored the need for Parliament to be scrutinizing and approving sovereign guarantees. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, the International Monetary Fund, IMF's mission is expected in the country from 12th to 19th of September for a review of Malawi's performance under the Staff Monitor Program with the Executive Board's involvement. If Malawi is successful in as far as the review is concerned, the country and the Bretton Woods institution would take to the next move where they are going to discuss the Extended Credit Facility Program, which came to a halt in 2020 when the Tonse Alliance-led administration ensured that they suspended the program for a new 4-year ECF program that would better be aligned with the Malawi 2063, among other things. Now, how has been the progress of the conversation since the suspension of the program? This is a question we attempt in this report.
In about 2 weeks, the International Monetary Fund IMF mission gets into the country to review Malawi's performance in line with the Bretton Woods 12-month staff-monitored program with the Executive Board involvement. This is an informal agreement to monitor the member country's economic program. It comes as a recent review hits Malawi being on track. This could mean that Lilongwe is inching closer to an ECF program, and IMF's main tool for medium-term financial support to low-income countries. An ECF arrangement brings about financial assistance to countries like Malawi, with a volatile balance of payments BOP position. It helps mitigate foreign exchange scarcity on the market. The arrangement is also touted for its signaling effect of triggering direct budget support and restoring donor confidence. The IMF-supported program came to a halt in 2020 when the Tonse Alliance-led administration requested a new 4-year ECF program that would be better aligned with Malawi's long-term development strategy, Malawi 2063. The fund then proposed several measures to the government towards unlocking an ECF arrangement. Also, the fund expects Malawi to work towards narrowing the public debt levels. Cumulatively, Malawi's total public debt has been growing over the past decades to 7.9 trillion kwacha, an equivalent of 69.93% of the GDP. The Treasury then vouched to have the budget deficit to GDP ratio reduced by 1% each financial year. Reserve Bank of Malawi Governor Wilson Banda feels the country is on course.
We are making a lot of progress. With regard to the IMF, specifically the ECF, I would say that we are on course, and we expect that by November of this year we should have a program with the IMF all said and done. We think that the performance through December that was confirmed by the IMF was good, and the indications are that we are also performing well with regard to the targets for end June. That should form a very solid basis for going forward. We'll be having an IMF mission sometime in September, and this mission will essentially basically look at what we have done, how we are performing, and we think that preliminary data that we have on the ground does confirm that we are performing well. So the main message, if I may say, to the nation is that Yes, we have gone through a lot as a country, but we think that there's now some light at the end of the tunnel, and that we hope that certainly before the end of the year, we should have a program with the IMF, and with the program, we expect that fortunes for the private sector would definitely improve. We expect that banks will now be able to do business with their correspondents out there in a more solid way than has been the situation before, where letters of credit can now be confirmed without as much hassle as we had up to now. So yes, we think that there is hope for the nation.
According to the IMF, a successful debt restructuring is vital to deliver macroeconomic stability. A concerted effort among the authorities, their creditors, and their international development partners will be crucial to ensure successful implementation of the external debt restructuring strategy. Fiscal discipline, supported by a robust public financial management system and timely production of comprehensive fiscal reports, remains critical. Local analysts feel consistency in prudent public finance management, coupled with tight monetary policy interventions, would guarantee an ECF deal in the short term.
The Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament has underscored the need for Parliament to be scrutinizing and approving the sovereign guarantee as one way of containing the growing public debt for the country. This was said at the weekend by Chairperson of the committee, Gladys Ganda, in Mangochi. Our journalist, Taonga Sabola, was there and now reports.
Speaking during a panel discussion during the Financial Services Lawyers Forum, jointly organized by the Malawi Law Society and the Reserve Bank of Malawi on sovereign debt, Chairperson for the Budget Committee of Parliament, Gladys Ganda, said sovereign guarantees are a potential debt to government in the event that the firm receiving the guarantee fails to perform on its objectives.
I did raise an issue that the sovereign guarantees should pass through Parliament for approval. You have a case in point of the East Bridge guarantee, where government issued a guarantee of a big amount, which was not approved by Parliament. As we speak, guarantees are not supposed to be approved by Parliament, as per our own Public Finance Management Act. The Minister of Finance is supposed to report to Parliament about the guarantee, highlight all the risks and the mitigants that are there in the guarantee. But as Budget and Finance Committee, we thought that we should now do some reforms, have a guarantee approved, because at the end of the day, if government will not be able to honor that obligation, the public resources will be used to pay. Actually, if a guarantee turns into a loan for government, it means that's borrowing. So we need to make sure that we cover our public resources. We make sure that the people in the villages also see value for having us in Parliament. Otherwise, if you just let government issue guarantees left and right, I can assure you that we end up with a big debt.
But former Attorney General Jikosa Sirungwe said the Public Finance Management Act, as amended last year, has taken care of the concerns.
Under Section 82 of that Act, a guarantee is valid under the Constitution and the law if it follows all the 6 steps in Section 82. Because once all the 6 steps have been, you can tick the boxes, then it triggers the liability that government may have in Section 81. So your wish, Honorable MP, is that it's not good enough that you just report, but you're not just reporting for information's sake. The report must have the basis under which the guarantee was issued by showing the public interest that guarantee grants.
In recent years, government has issued a number of sovereign guarantees to firms like East Bridge as well as K Energy.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories, courtesy of Odd Mutual. We'll be right back.
Ku Malawi timanena kuti chuma chili munthaka, ndipo izi ndizoona, mutha kuziona zimene zipali ponse. Dzina langa ndi Chris Gadimani ndipo ndimayang'anira banja langa pogwira ntchito ku Galamax Macadamia Nut Farm. Zonse zimayambira pa Nazare pano. Timasamalira mphukira kuti tikwanitse kudzala mitengo yambiri. Mitengo iyi ikakula, timasankha mtedza wabwino kwambiri okhaokha. Timafuna kuti mtedza wa Macadamia wa ku Malawi uzidziwika kuti ndi wabwino koposa. Chilichonse pa famu pano chimagwira ntchito kuti zinthu ziziyenda bwino. Mitengo yathu imayeretsa mpweya. Njuchi zathu zimathandiza mitengo kubereka zipatso. Amayi amundera amakolola uchi m'ming'oma. Ndipo ndalama zina zimathandiza sukulu ya pafamu pano. Timaphunzitsa ana zonse zokhudza mtedza wa Macadamia. Tikakolola kwambiri timalembanso ntchito anthu ambiri. Ndimakhala onyadira kukhala nawo otenga mbali mu zimenezi.
From the soil comes endless possibilities. Growing crops, growing jobs, growing Malawi. Your money invested for the good of all. We call this creating mutual futures. Old Mutual, let's do great things every day.
Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country, courtesy of Old Mutual, and my name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program, the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, on Thursday announced a diversity of its products as it intends to be offering retail internet and promised to knock down the prices by about 50%. This seems to be good news for internet users as the internet penetration remains relatively low in the country. Now, our journalist, Taonga Sabola from Lilongwe, assesses the situation and has since filed this report.
Speaking in Lilongwe when ESCOM signed an agreement with Zambia's Cybercom, ESCOM Chief Executive Officer Kumwembe Mwenda said time has come for Malawians to start enjoying cheaper internet.
Now is the private internet providers, they buy it at retail price offshore. But now what we've done now is to agree with the Zambian government. Next week we're signing with Tanzania government. We're going to buy under what we call diplomatic data corridors. What it means is that when we're buying offshore, we will not pay taxes. It's just the same as when you're buying a car from Japan. You get into Dar es Salaam, you don't pay taxes. You pay in Malawi. Similarly, when you buy a car from somebody who's bought it in Dar es Salaam, he's paid tax in Dar es Salaam, we buy it at a higher price. So you can see the similarities. So what it means now that we just pay the transportation fee through the two countries. So it means that data will come down. What it means now that ESCOM, if we set up our internet provision, it means on average, the data must come down between 35 and 50%. So as we are aware, wherever there is an ESCOM power line, especially distribution, there is fiber. Just below the transmission lines, there is a black line. That's fiber. So it means that anywhere where there is ESCOM line, anybody can tap into our internet, which will be cheaper. So it means schools, government agencies, homes will have access to cheaper internet through ESCOM.
Information Minister Moses Kunkuyu said government is committed to ensuring that as many Malawians have access to the internet.
You know, Malawi is a land-linked country, and data is obtained from the undersea cables. And for us to transit that data from the undersea cables, the landing cost in Malawi has always been very high, and that landing cost, that high landing cost, has always been transferred to the consumer. And the signing of this agreement, which will see the landing cost of data into the country being lowered, it means even the operators, the service providers in the country will apply the same, and the cost of data to Malawians will be lesser, thereby allowing Malawians the privilege of using the internet in various spheres of their lives: education, health, agriculture, trade, e-commerce, and all that.
Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority Director General Daud Suleiman said his organization will make sure that the price of data falls in Malawi.
At the point in time Our wholesale price tag is about $8 per gigabit of data. With these interconnections, once we have interconnected all the routes that we want, we are praying that we're now going to get to $3 per gigabit of data. That will be almost a 200% reduction, and that is the price point that we're pushing towards.
During the meeting, Malawi and Zambia also signed a memorandum of understanding to concretize the diplomatic data corridor.
Now, in other business news, Malawi continues to lose billions of kwacha due to substandard infrastructural projects, a situation experts have lamented as retrogressive. This comes as poor workmanship and corruption during tendering and bidding are being cited among the major challenges in the construction sector. Now, to address the problems, the National Construction Industry Council has since rolled out the implementation of infrastructure delivery management standard in Blantyre, where it intends to ensure that all infrastructure developers in the country are using the blueprint. Our journalist, Kumwembe Mangazi, was attending one of the initiatives and has since filed this report.
The Infrastructure Delivery Management Standards is a document that provides guidelines on how infrastructure projects should be conceived, planned, procured, designed, executed, operated, and maintained, as well as disposed of. NCIC Chief Executive Officer Gerard Konje says the document was conceived after several gaps were identified in the sector, leading to poor infrastructure in the country.
The first point is for us to sensitize stakeholders. We started with a launch. We are rolling out. And different stakeholders were represented in the meeting today. We had the academia. We had the professional boards. We had government agencies. We had local councils represented. We had even contractors represented. Even the financial institutions, including the Reserve Bank, were here. Now, the purpose is that all the stakeholders have to be aware of what is supposed to be done. Nobody conceives a poor quality project, because when you are conceiving a project, you actually anticipate to have a quality product. But lack of knowledge has been the main cause in terms of why some projects have ended up to be of poor quality. So this document provides that knowledge, which means all stakeholders in the country, including the general public, should be made aware of this particular document. So that when somebody is implementing a project and they are not following this, even the general public can say, no, this is not what has been prescribed in the document. Secondly, there are some components in this particular document that will be turned into regulations. So regulations then they become part and parcel of the laws of Malawi, which means they become enforceable. So there are certain components that will be turned into regulations so that it becomes mandatory that all players in the industry are able to follow. In addition to that, recently we launched a strategic plan which has stipulated the vision that towards where we are going. And basically we are looking at a transformed, sustainable, and quality-driven construction industry. We want the construction industry in Malawi to be known with quality products, so that if somebody wants a house that is a quality house, they should be opting for Malawian contractors, for Malawian consultants to design that. It is possible. So we also have to change the mindset so that we inculcate a mindset of possibility to say, as Malawians, we can do it. And there are several Malawians that have done tremendous work, great work, both inside the country and outside the country. You would be surprised that I know Malawians personally who have done work in the UK, wonderful projects. In Dubai, wonderful projects. In America, wonderful projects. In South Africa, wonderful projects.
Blantyre City Council Chief Executive Officer Dennis Chinseu held the council for the drive.
I'm actually quite impressed with what has been presented. I think for quite a long time, people have been complaining that we are erecting substandard structures in the country as a whole. Now, as the people who are managing the city, we are also looking forward to having structures that reflects the development that as a country we should be having. So looking at these standards, I think I'm quite impressed, and I believe this is the way to go to make sure that we have standards that should impress those who should be looking at them.
Executive Dean of the School of Engineering at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, Banet Nkandawire, says the standards entrenched in the document will bring sanity to the industry.
What I may say is mostly when it comes to the quality, it has got many facets. At first, quality begins when you conceive the idea to develop the infrastructure. And then it goes on to the planning as well as the actual implementation or construction, or maybe if it's the built environment, we're talking of the building of the infrastructure. So I think it's a multifaceted thing that it needs maybe to have a coordinated approach at every stage. And that's where we see this standard which has been rolled out today very important, because there has been a gap in the past on the in terms of linking up the designers, those I should say maybe starting from the conception, those who conceive the ideas and the plan. There have been there've been no synergy. So this actually brings in synergy. But most importantly, when it comes to the quality of the construction, then what is of essence is to make sure that there is good quality control at the implementation.
Well, that report also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe, but always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.
Brought to you by Old Mutual. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.